Hi folks, Dave Schmidt here. It's the morning of April 15th and I wanted to come to you today in a video format. Haven't been on video for a couple of weeks, and wow, a couple of weeks it has been. On the April 2nd radio program a couple of weeks ago is when I had this gentleman on the program who went by G-Man. He's a member of an interface team that is basically organizing a couple of private transactions that I've been telling you about over the last couple of weeks. One is happening in a location here where I am in Texas, and another is in Salt Lake City, and I've mentioned that to you in some of my newsletters. Well, last week, so that I could come to you and let you know with sincerity and with verification, I made a road trip. On Monday, April 7th, I went from Sedona, drove up to Salt Lake City, Utah, where I spent 2 days with the gentleman. And there you've heard me see, you've seen what I've said in the newsletters. I spent 2 days with PIF. I met with the paymaster for the exchange that is being set up for the dinar. Now those private exchanges have closed, but they said they were able to open up for a small window the exchanges with the dong. Those of you on my newsletter list, you've been receiving that information and you've been able to sign up on that form. Now, please let me say this and understand this. I am just the messenger. I do not administrate the list. I don't know about its mechanics. I don't know about its logistics. I don't know why they're not sending you confirmation emails. All I know is you can go to my website with the article. You can sign up. You can refer that to friends and families. They can sign up, and it puts you on a list. And then please read the instructions. There's no obligation of anything. It's totally your choice. You could make the trip to Salt Lake City. You could sit down there and you could say, I don't want to do this, and you can walk out the door. Now with the dong, it's going to be a little bit different. It will be a part of an electronic transaction. Now, why is there a difference between the dinar and the dong? Well, predominantly, you can see the dinar is a currency that has never been in circulation before. And we have been told that there are some groups that have counterfeited this currency, the dinar. And with that, they haven't released it yet because right now it's pretty much worthless. But once it revalues, it's going to be worth billions and billions of dollars. So they have to fetter that out. That's why those of us in the dinar transaction, we've had to fill out the forms. There will be all the dinar, the larger currencies will have to go through a Delarue machine. So it's a very complicated process, but it's all based on security. Because stop to think about this. The rates we have been told is $3.71. That means one of those 25K notes is going to be worth about $90,000. A bank isn't going to take that risk without making sure that that currency is absolutely authenticated and that it's not going to be a counterfeit. Now that's why the dinar issue. The dong's different. Why? Because the dong is a currency that's already in circulation. You can go down to a bank, you can purchase it at a bank, you could take your dong you currently have in your possession and then exchange it at a bank, and you would get the current rate, which is about 21,000 dong per US dollar. And obviously it's not worth much at that rate. But everything we are saying, everything we are seeing, everybody that I have talked to, this is all underway. I wish I could give you all the background, the inside scoop. I can't. There's confidentiality in that. I'm being asked to keep that, I should say, and I'm being allowed to bring this forward to you. So here we now are on Tuesday, April 15th, and you keep wondering, why the delays? If there's anything that I can do to explain that, it's basically, one way to put it simply is called government paperwork. Now, what does that mean? Now, this is my own opinion. This is my estimation on stuff that I've put together, on information that I've accumulated. I think a lot of it is what is going on in the transactions between the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and the U.S. Treasury. The U.S., and I should say no, I'm sorry, not the U.S. Treasury, but the U.S. government, predominantly Congress. Congress hasn't been wanting to play ball with the rest of the world on being able to release their total veto power over the IMF. But the United States has come to a point where financially it's so weak, it's so far in debt, that the rest of the world is saying, United States, we don't want your currency as the world's reserve currency anymore. And they've been taking slow steps to remove themselves from that. And what they've come down to now is basically the rest of the world has told the United States, either make the changes that are being requested to rebalance the voting power of the IMF, or we're just going to go on our own and we're going to let you be on your own. And I think they're still working in that. The negotiations are still going on in that scenario. And also, they're wanting to, in so many terms, allow the United States a way to save face. Now, why would they do that? There's a benefit to all of us for the reason of that. Because if the United States comes out looking like the bad guy that the rest of the world is saying basically screw you to, it doesn't affect just the United States. It affects the whole world. Why? Because at this point in time today, the U.S. currency is still the world's reserve currency. So if there's this absolute shock that the rest of the world says, screw you to the United States, it affects the markets. It affects the markets not only in the United States, it affects the markets all around the world. So it does have a direct impact financially on almost every country around the world. So there's an appropriate process that they want to go through to allow them to save face on this issue. And personally, this is my opinion, that's why I think some of the delays have been going on, and being able to make sure that there isn't going to be a huge backlash from when the dinar is revalued. Beyond that, I can't give you a lot of specifics. Everything else I would be saying would just be pure speculation, and I don't want to go into that because, you know, I say something, others say something, it gets posted on blog sites, it gets spread around the world as though it's fact, and it's not. It's just speculation. So, where are we going from here? I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. That's where one of the transactions is taking place. I will see what I can do if I can give you an updated report on that. Now, my understanding is that when one is done here in Fort Worth, that's when they're going to Salt Lake City. And I've been able to be in touch with the people who are doing that, and we'll see what happens. I may be making another trip back to Salt Lake City. But in the meantime, what's happening with us? Are you ready to be an overnight millionaire? Are you ready for that? You know, there's a verse in the Bible where Jesus said, to whom much is given, much is required. In the last week, when I have been able to open up to being a part of this dong list, my newsletter list has almost doubled in 2 to 3 weeks. And that's okay. I'm the messenger. That's part of what my job is to do. My job is to share this information with you. I'm the only one that uses my real name. I come to you with video. You can see who I am. You can go Google my name and find out all you want about me. But that's my job, is so that there can be a degree of reliability, a degree of trust in what is being brought to you. It's a little different when you can see somebody talking to you in a video versus the only form of communication is what you read on the blog sites. Now, there's various reasons others are doing that. I don't belittle them. That's okay. This is what I do. This is my job. I accept that. But I enjoy this. I enjoy doing this and helping you in this process. But I come back and I say, are you ready? Because here's what happened. On the radio program last week, when I was talking about the opportunity to be involved in the dong, I specifically said, please, please do not email me with all your questions, with all your comments, with all your worries, with all your anxieties. And then when I put the newsletter out, I said the same thing. And in spite of that, within just a little over 48 hours, over 1,000 of you sent me an email. What is it that would be going on inside of you that you have so much fear, so much anxiety, so much worry that you couldn't honor that simple request? Now, I'm not going to belittle you for you that doing that. But there's something that's going on that you can't be at peace, you can't be patient, you can't simply follow instructions. What is it? That tells me there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, and also a lot of greed that is still taking place in a lot of people. To whom much is given, much is required. Are you requiring of yourself to come to a place of peace, to come to a place of rest, to come to a place of trust? Money is a really powerful tool within our lives. How we use it, how we associate with it, what we think of it. For so many of us, Money represents a sense of security. We want this sense of security, thinking if I have more money, I am more secure. But in the process, what you're really doing is overriding basically an unconscious fear, an unconscious anxiety. Money seems to give us a sense of worth. If we have more money, we're more wealthy, we're more important, we have more value, our voice is taken more seriously, we're more important, we're a greater person. That's just called pride. Pride, fear, anxiety, and underneath it all is greed. How greedy are we becoming? That's a real issue that we all have to face, and we all have to ask ourselves. I'm amazed how much in the last week, people who I thought were in pretty good condition, all of a sudden they were so worried that they couldn't get on this list. They were demanding things of me, demanding that I put them on this list. And all of a sudden there's this, you haven't done this for me. Why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? I have to be on that list. Why? Why? Ask yourself that question. It's you. To whom much is given, much is required. And to be people who are willing to make a change and a transition in this world during this time, in this great historic shift, it means being people of responsibility with our wealth. Now, I'm going to do something for you. I have this absolutely wonderful friend by the name of Penny Genter that lives in Sedona. Penny and I are very, very good close friends. And she comes through with these messages. Now, some people call it channeling. In Christian circles, it would be called being inspired by the Holy Spirit. But she gets into that point, she feels that presence of the Holy Spirit, and she'll sit down and she'll start writing. And I am always amazed at the clarity of what she has to say. And it comes from the Journey of Enlightenment Foundation. And I'll post this on my website, on the newsletter as well. And so you can go to the link. But I want to do something for us this morning. I want to read the first couple of paragraphs that she had sent to us. So please excuse me as I go over to my laptop right here. And I want to bring up that message. And please listen to this. It's so inspiring because it fits into that context of to whom much is given, much is required. And it's all about abundance. It says, if you have doubts about whether you are living in an abundant universe, then you create that reality. If, however, you affirm that all you need for your growth and happiness is in overflowing supply, then that will be your perceived situation. If beauty is in the eye of the beholder, then so must be abundance, given our expectations and perceptions. So how much stuff do you require to attain happiness? Is material wealth important to your overall well-being, or is it just a means of attaining a comfortable lifestyle? Do you enjoy owning your stuff, or is it a responsibility you have taken on that requires more maintenance and care than you are prepared to give? At what point do the benefits of the association outweigh the personal cost? Do your possessions to continue to give you joy, or have they become a burden? How much money do you need? How much dinar and dong do you need? At what point is all of this wealth that you're going to acquire becoming more of a burden than it is something that is bringing joy to you? That's back to the issue of to whom much is given, much is required. I've had emails from literally hundreds of you saying, should I buy more? I can never be the one to answer that question for you. Only you can answer that for yourself. But here's what I've told folks. What plan do you have with what you are going to receive? Do you know what you're going to do with your money? You can be pretty well assured if you don't have somewhat of an idea, somewhat of a plan, then all of that extra beyond your plan is very likely to create a very burdensome problem in your life. You'll be worrying about it. You'll be uncertain about it. You'll be wondering, what am I going to do? You're going to be wondering, am I going to buy a $2 million home or a $10 million home? Who in the world needs a $10 million home without a plan for it? Now, is it wrong to have a $10 million home? No, it's not. There's some of you that are supposed to, but it's not very many of us. For most of us, a $1 to $2 million home is a really, really nice home, and it's all that you need. There was some months ago, there was this lady that I had become acquainted with, and she was telling me about how she was going to buy this $9 million home in Sedona. This wasn't a home, it's a castle. And it's just her and her husband, and they were going to have this home with, between 8,000 and 9,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms, rooms to who knows what. And I'm, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, to whom much is given, much is required. Do you need that much home? She's saying all these wonderful things and stories of what she's going to do, and in the back of my mind, I'm saying, you can't even be responsible for what you got now. You're having problems with where you are now. Are you ready to step from being almost in a position of poverty and having to live with someone else to step into a $9 million home? Folks, take inventory for yourself. I'm not here to judge you in any way or form with what you're going to do with your wealth. I have plans for mine. I'm going to buy a new car, but you know what? I'm not buying a Maserati. I'm going to buy a Ford Fusion Hybrid. That's what's fitting for me. And I'm going to buy a new Jeep for my Sedona vehicle because that fits me in Sedona. And I'm considering buying a new motorhome because I'm going to continue with these workshops, and sometimes it's just easier to drive than it is to haul up and pack up all the equipment I have to take to these workshops and taking them in and out of airports, in and out of rental cars, and lugging it all around when it's just easier to put it into a motorhome and drive. So I'm considering that. But I'm still going to have far, far, far more millions beyond that. But I know what I'm going to do with that. And I'm at peace with that. And I'm ready to start giving it a lot of it away. One of the things that I love to do business with small business people. I love to see the profits go to helping their daughter or their son with their ballet or little league lessons. I love supporting that small business because that small business is helping to pay for the Little League team in the community. I know I'm investing in the community, where sometimes if I go to these big mega corporations, all I'm doing is investing in the zeros of the CEO and the higher echelon, and I'm adding to the stock portfolios of those who are already very wealthy. To me, it's a way of paying it forward by helping people locally. I love to go into a local restaurant and give this exorbitant tip and tell the waiter or the waitress to write on their pay it forward. Give this to somebody else as well. I love to support the local food banks in my community. I want to come back to a point where I can reach out and touch people on a local level with my wealth. And I'll also give to large organizations that I really believe in. Here's something I've learned in being around nonprofit fundraising for about 35 years. I was able to be around a lot of wealthy people. And I found that wealthy people are usually willing to give their wealth away, a lot of money. They don't hesitate at giving away their money. The only hesitation they have is they want to make sure it's used well and used wisely and it's not wasted. That's what's required of us. When we acquire this wealth, use your money wisely, give it away wisely, and make sure that it's not wasted. There's a sense of responsibility that comes with acquiring this wealth. So with that, I want to thank you again for another video update. And yes, I do want to mention, we have the workshop coming up on April 27th in the Philadelphia area. You can go to my website, thesedonaconnection.com, and that's part of the whole purpose of the workshop, is preparing us for how to be millionaires. The workshop is broken up into 3 sessions. The first session is about where we've been, how did we get here. The second section is about developing the relationships that you need with your bankers and your wealth managers. What are you going to do with your money once you get it? And then the third session is about where are we going? How do we prepare ourselves mentally to have the appropriate mindset to be people who are not just free and wealthy, but to be people who are moving into abundance? Lots of seats still available. April 27th in the Philadelphia area. Would love to have you. And folks, this is what I've always said. I always set aside a certain number of seats for scholarships. I understand some of you are on some very limited income. So some of you, if you need to come and apply for a scholarship seat, that's available for you at $25. I would love to have you. As long as there's room available, I'm not going to say no to anybody. All the information is on my website, thesedonaconnection.com. And in the next 3 or 4 days, I'll be adding information about the workshop after that. May 10th, Saturday, May 10th, in Sedona. Now that one is going to have limited seating. I'm doing it at the Unity Church in Sedona, and our seating is limited to about 100 people. So, and that's going to be a first come, first serve. And yes, I always do is set aside a certain percentage of seats for a scholarship basis. But you know, something inside me is beginning to feel like I think we're going to have our money by then, okay? Thank you, folks. This has been a wonderful journey. And I want you to know this journey doesn't stop when the money comes through. In fact, that's when the real responsibility for all of us just starts. This journey has been a journey of preparation. It's back to the illustration, the metaphor that I've talked about, when Moses led the Israelites out of the slavery of the Egyptians. It was a process that went on for months in the preparation to be set free. They were in poverty and they were slaves. And a few days later, they had crossed the Red Sea and they were in wealth and they were free. But here's the key. The goal was not wealth and freedom. The goal was the promised land. And for us, that means developing a full, complete, abundant lifestyle and mentality and thought process of how we live our lives. That's our real goal. Our real goal is to be people of full, complete abundance in all the areas of our lives. And so when the RV takes place, my work is also in some ways just beginning in a new phase, because I'll continue with the workshops, I'll continue with my videos, I'll continue helping you, and I want you to know this is what I do. I love what I do. You know, I love what I do, and I want to thank you again for all the wonderful compliments and comments that you've brought my way. And it's getting exciting. We can feel it, we can sense it, we know it's just around the corner. So folks, I love all of you. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow night on the radio program if you want to tune in for that. If not, the next time there's a video update and there's a new newsletter. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful day.